The best way that I think that we can address this situation is chronologically. It helps me at least organize the thoughts in my head surrounding the situation because everything is mostly chaotic. Plus, it provides context, I think.
That and it there are different folks that need to be addressed at different times. And if you don't do that, then it becomes whataboutism, right? And I think there is enough culpability to go around in this whole thing.
Sure.
So like you said, chronologically, let's just take it on through.
Kyrie posts a link to his Twitter, which is a link to a video that was on Amazon Prime, titled "Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America."
Not exclusively on Amazon Prime, might I add, because that's going to be a relevant point later. But continue.
Okay. Obviously included the link. Didn't really provide any other context besides that. Just the link. He was then asked about this post by many reporters after a Pacers game. So in a post-game interview, I guess the first thing that sticks out to me is this is a post-game interview for a basketball game, and we're talking about what Kyrie is doing
on
off the court.
Social media, yeah.
Seems to have caught Kyrie off guard somewhat, because I don't think he was fully prepared in that moment to speak towards that.
If we talk about human decency and professionalism, nor should he, but that is not the reality of press gaggles for professional athletes either. So
Sure. The reason I say that is there are some things that he said that contradict each other, but at the end of the day, so far, he has only posted a link, and now he is already having to answer questions of anti-Semitism. We've already rushed to somewhat creating a narrative about this whole entire situation.
I'm glad we handled it this way, and we're gonna get it addressed in the beginning, because this is the level of culpability that I give to Kyrie. Let's address that first and foremost.
Sure.
Being that me, right, my 29-year-old self, with no millions, with no brand deals, with no endorsements, with no multi-million-dollar contracts with any entity, let alone the NBA. I understand that when you work for them folks being white folks, or just American corporations in general, there are lines that you are either forced to walk or will be brought back to walk, regardless of who you are, how much money you make, what your relative status within that organization is. There is always a line that you will have to walk, period. You're a public figure. You have 1,000,001 eyeballs on you. Oh, and it just so happens that those 1,000,001 eyeballs associate you with this league and this brand and their business associations.
Right? Really quickly, I had a thought about that in the sense of, like I said, he kind of contradicts himself at some points in this conference, being that he states at one point that they're kind of overinflating the platform that he has, and then later on in the same press conference, he says, "Look, I have this platform to speak to the people that who look like me in some extent."
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of get what he's saying, because you are painting him as this voice, or this I guess this leader of vitriol, and in that literally it was a tweet.
Yeah,
it was a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It wasn't a press conference. It wasn't a, hey, I'm officially endorsing Hebrews to Negroes. I am going to go on a press run and tell you about this movie and promote it.
He didn't make
or
it.
Sell it in my movie theaters across America. We'll get to it, I promise you. It was a tweet. Are people going to boil that down to promotion? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially when you work for who you work for, bro. Like, it just is a reality of your occupation that sometimes even things that are even moderately controversial, and this was not moderately controversial, but even just certain political ideologies, you have to keep to yourself. And I'm not saying that that's by way of the law, That's by way of morality. It's by way of keeping your employment. It
And
just
keeping
is
the
what it
platform.
is, right? We talked about Gina Carano 2 years ago with all of her anti-vax sentiments and the ideas that she continued to push out and make sure that people knew that she felt. Sometimes you cannot have that. You can't. You can't. I'm not saying it's legal. I'm not even saying that it's right that you're not allowed that birth to voice what it is that you feel, be it wrong or indifferent, right? But you can't have it. You don't get to have the millions of dollars and the huge platform and the millions of eyeballs and not have the shackles of saying everything that people want you to say and staying within your box. You don't have it. You don't. There are people all over this country that have views that would make most of your stomachs turn, and you would never know because they don't come out talking about it.
Yeah.
They don't plaster it over the internet. They don't like tweets. They don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
They
probably
don't.
not even on Twitter in some
and
cases.
As much as I am getting ready to go to bat for Kyrie, I just cannot understand these type of guys that always find themselves in controversy. Right? Because I get it. When people are coming after you, they're coming after you. And it's fairly obvious that the league has kind of gone sour on Kyrie for some years now. But it's the offered up situations that get to me. It becomes a responsibility to yourself, number one, to make sure that they cannot drag you in this way. He has a contract with these people. So he knows that certain things fall within certain parameters within your contracts where they will be able to do this to you legally. You cannot give them that leg up. You can't. Because you see exactly what they're going to do with it. They sit there and they wait. And I mean on all of you. All of you. And believe me, we're going to get to all of you in the media who are all damn weak, right? But that's the circumstance that Kyrie finds himself in is no different from any black man or black woman across any media platform. Shout out to Tiffany Cross.
I'm going to ask you a question here in just a second, but I had to wonder if Kyrie just didn't really read the room that well, considering the fact that he's been in this situation, albeit a much smaller version of the situation with the flat earth shit and the anti-vax shit, right? In some sort of controversy. And you see what they're doing with Kanye West currently as they're very clearly ready to hit that button against you. So at some point I had to think that tweeting said thing
now
wasn't over.
Now?
Yeah.
Like this week?
Yeah. Like you were asking to kind of be put in this position.
I am not sitting up here saying that this man does not have a legal right to express his First Amendment right? I am not saying that because if you are a First Amendment warrior, you got a hell of a case here. You got a hell of a case here. Because I listen to these people get up here and spout anti-black shit every day. Every day. Right? You got a hell of a case here. My level of concern here is his personal responsibility to himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a foreign concept, and this is not something that you didn't understand up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
You knew you were putting yourself squarely within the crosshairs of everyone who seeks to bring you down the minute you retweeted that. You knew it. You knew it. And the unfortunate thing, it's a pretty fair trade-off in my estimation. You want to be an unholy amount of wealth in between you and the common man. You want to be an exorbitantly rich to the point where you could sit on your ass every day for the rest of your life and your great-grandchildren would still be rich. Then you have to society would collapse if we didn't have that. I believe it. You can't be rich and above reproach.
Yeah.
Right? And I know it goes beyond reasonable levels frequently, more often than not. But if you don't have it at all, that's a dangerous spot where you can be uncriticizable and rich at the same time. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that some more. But I just feel like for him, it's a responsibility thing, man. Like, before we even start talking about what was even in the video, you gotta have your head on a swivel more than that.
Yeah.
For me, for your family, for the people that you take care of.
Agreed. At this point, do you feel like he actually watched said video or said movie, documentary, whatever?
I don't know. He says he doesn't agree with everything that was in the video, so I mean, he must have watched some of it.
Okay.
I mean, if we're taking him at his word and it wasn't just PR written, right? If we're taking him at his word, he says he doesn't agree with everything that's in it, so.
Sure. And that's why I ask at this point specifically. Yeah. Like, I feel like he's probably watched it at this point now, but like at that point when he maybe tweeted it, do you think maybe he watched it?
I mean,
or do you think he watched it before tweeting it? I don't know. It's possible. I don't know if he'd be willing to put his.
Let's get into the actuality of what it is that we're talking about, right? We're talking about black people being the Hebrews or the black Israelites. The most egregious thing about this to me is that y'all don't understand that in academic circles, this type of racial theory goes on and on and on and on, and it doesn't just talk about Semitism or the Jews, right? Like you understand that there are people with platforms right now who talk about the visceral nature of the black and how we are just prone to violence and criminality. Hell, they've argued that in the halls of Congress within the last 20 years. From a presidential candidate that y'all won't stop yelling about, oh, if we just would have got her, things would have been so much better. We've got senators in the South talking about how descendants of slaves do not deserve reparations because they are the actual criminals. The level of anti-blackness within academic theory, if y'all cared that much about this type of dangerous language, like it's just like, it's already going on. And know that you are getting the brunt end of it. And yet, all of your outrage and all of your vitriol comes when it's pointed outside of your community. The idea that there are black Jews that existed a long time ago on this earth is not one that makes me say you hate Jewish people.
I agree.
Without verifying that information or even having to open the book on it, that alone does not make me say you hate Jewish people. You wish ill on Jewish people.
Yeah.
The thing about the Holocaust being fake, that's where you have to draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm not afraid to. The reason why I say the things that I say on this show is because I weigh the evidence.
Yeah.
I look at it for what it is. I see if there's evidence to support a hypothesis. Mm-hmm. You work to prove that hypothesis through confirming evidence, right?
Yeah.
Then you test your theory against someone else's.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see that same problem through someone else's perspective or through the opposing perspective. And you work your way backwards and see if there's logic to it. You find the very logical ties that could bring someone to come to that conclusion. And then you decide for yourself. That's my process.
That's a pretty good process to have. It's pretty close to this scientific
method, right?
Yeah.
So, being that as it is, dealing with that part of the documentary, that is a bar that I don't think anybody is even able to cross. Like, you can't. How do you prove that to me? That millions that like it didn't happen at all. Like, it just didn't happen. It was completely fabricated. Now we getting into Alex Jones level.
if I look at a map and see where Israel is in relation to Africa, at some level.
Look, here's why I never come out and try to drag those people that we're Native Americans, we're Hispanics and we're Hebrews. Like it is not hard for me to conceive that the first human beings on this planet migrated to other places and started mixing.
Yeah.
It is not uncommon for me because I know that we are the oldest human beings on this planet. Every other race on this planet is a derivative of the first human who was ever found on the continent of Africa. That is a fact. Even though, once again, in academic theory, they try to muddy the waters and talk about separating humanity from civilization. Some more racist trope shit that goes on in academia that no one fucking knows about because y'all don't read enough. I digress. It is not inconceivable to me that the oldest human beings on this planet were the first ones to migrate to some of these places where civilization started sprouting up. Especially because of the thing that we're talking about is a religion and not a race. Am I going to sit up here and say that the Holocaust didn't happen? No. That would be the biggest coup perpetrated by opposing forces, mind you, in the history of the world. So no, I don't have nearly enough evidence to say that no. But to say that there were black people here, there, South America, North America, the Middle East, Northern Africa, that doesn't sound crazy to me at all.
At all.
Doesn't sound crazy to me. And the assertion that simply saying that is anti-Semitism is where I'm about to start getting on some of y'all's backs. Because when we started talking about how bad this was and they started having people talking about it, nobody was talking about what the video said. No one. Not a single person. Yeah. Now that it's dragged out some weeks, and people actually had time to watch the film, they picked things out of it that obviously were standouts, right?
Sure.
But when this shit was going down, nobody even looked at the video.
Right. It was just anti-Semitism because
they said it was.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they said it was.
Mm-hmm.
So Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Shannon Sharp, Chris Broussard, Michael Wilbon, Rob Parker, Stephen A. Smith. When it's your turn, and it will be one of y'all's turn. Make no never minds about it, bruh. I'm calling it now because it is the American way. It will be one of your turn. Even though you did your job and walked the corporate line and did exactly what it is that they wanted you to do, was to come out here, disavow. You know why Kyrie is getting so much support online? And so many people are pushing back on the narrative that's being created about him. It's because Kyrie has never gotten on his way to be anti-black. He ain't never got caught up saying something against black people or against a police shooting or a single mother or absent father or this or that or slavery was a choice or white lives matter. He never got caught up in that shit.
Hell, at some point, some level, this is pro-black. Now, it may be pro-black to a fault, but...
Well, I stopped short of saying that it's pro-black because there was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There was wrong in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hypocrisy that shines brighter for me, though. Individuals make mistakes all the fucking time. We say dumb things all the time. I got into an argument in 2015 with Justin Blue on Instagram about reparations. And I told this man that we needed to get our reparations in forms of zero interest loans so that we make sure we actually put it into businesses and we don't just spend it on consumerism. That came out of my mouth. I'm a human being. And I have said stupid things when I was uninformed and I didn't read shit. And I'm unafraid to say that to y'all because I realized the difference in my mentality when I didn't know a damn thing and I was just hooting and hollering online, and when you're actually informed. When you can take off those Americanized glasses and see that you shouldn't have to ask nobody for what's owed to you.
We may have to put a pin in this portion of it and move it towards later in the conversation. But at some level, is this not Kyrie attempting to provide information for himself? Is he not a person who is curious? Because obviously, black people don't truly know where they come from at some level.
We already addressed that. No, he doesn't get to do that.
He doesn't get to do that.
The rules that we have set up in our society say that you don't get to talk about controversial things as a celebrity.
I got you. Sure.
You don't. You get certain berths as an intellectual, as an academic. You get certain berths as senators and things of that nature. You get a little bit longer leash. As people on social media, movie stars and singers and athletes, you need to stay within the context of what I watch you for, or I don't like you.
Sure.
That is the rules that are established. You need to stay within the box that you got introduced to me in, or else I do not like you.
That's fair.
And regardless of the social issue around it.
I want to bring something up about that portion of it somewhat. We'll address it later.
The bigger thing to me is that you can't be black and have a bad take and not lose your livelihood.
Sure.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Public apology, $500,000. These bozo racial sensitivity classes that don't seem to help black people worth a damn. 5 games without pay, and y'all want them to go further. I'm talking us, y'all. I ain't talking about the white folks. We expected that. It's some of y'all that want them to go even further. Even after all of that. Can somebody tell me how much money Myers Leonard donated last year when he called somebody a nigger on stream?
No, he called somebody a...
Sorry.
So literally...
Sorry.
Literal anti-Semitism. Literal anti-Semitism.
I have to bleep out both of those.
Sure, but... Literal anti-Semitism.
How much money he was forced to donate? Did he have a meeting with Adam Silver? That's not whataboutism. That is inconsistency. That's hypocrisy. We got not 1, not 2, but 3 racist owners within the NBA who see their players as cattle, as the inmates running the asylum. Every time we pop up, we got another racist owner in the NBA. That's hypocrisy. I gotta watch Shaquille O'Neal talk about how he just hates people that divide our game, and Kyrie just doesn't seem very conscious. He doesn't seem very plugged into what it is that he's doing. You mean like selling the same video at your movie theater that you own? Literally making money off the same anti-Semitism that you are accusing Kyrie of holding? So it's okay for you to make $1. It's okay for you to make $1 off of it, but he can't tweet. You get to come out here and fix your mouth to say that, oh, Kyrie Irving, he just don't get it, man. He's dividing us. And I hate to see when guys are dividing us for sharing that tweet. But you can make money off of it. You can play it in a movie theater.
On that same token, where's the hate for Amazon for literally giving this film a platform?
They don't care. They got business ties with Amazon. They don't even really care about the anti-Semitism. I'm going to explain to you why in a second. You'd have to be brain dead not to think that there's a coincidence for people saying stuff like this. And then all of a sudden, American corporations are seemingly acting in unison as if it's beneficial to them to cancel the same exact person at the same time. If if a person like Kanye West, who before a couple weeks ago, every brand in America wanted to be associated with, ends up being exclusified, right? So ends up getting dropped. Let's say Adidas drops Kanye West, and it's not over this anti-Semitism stuff. What happens the next week?
Somebody else will pick him up.
Somebody else? Every shoe company in America would be calling Kanye West. Every shoe company in America would be calling Kanye West. It's not attached to none of his anti-Semitism stuff. He just sticks to the anti-black shit. Just sticks to the White Lives Matter and George Floyd died off of fentanyl stuff. And then he gets dropped by the Gap. Every American boutique or department store will be calling Kanye West, trying to get the Yeezy brand. So you trying to convince me that competing companies in an open market are acting in unison to cancel somebody? Because that's in the best interest of them and their stockholders, right? It don't have to do with no secret cabal of Jews. It has nothing to do with some puppet master that got their hand up Diddy's butt. It's just good old-fashioned American capitalism. The one thing that I can say about the Jewish community is that they very clearly have elites within their community that are well connected and are able to protect the public perception of their community.
Sure.
And they act as such. Whenever their community is attacked or called out or something or the other, they collapse upon themselves and they are able to have the people in power within their community coalesce to say, no, we're not doing that. That's money. That ain't a religion. That's not a race. That's green. Why can't we do that, Marcus? We got black celebrities. Our black celebrities are too obsessed with
themselves,
with trying to protect their own wealth, their own status, and their own to do that for us. It's not that we don't have, first of all, the absolute worst take is I ain't even gonna tell you who it is. I'll show it to you. I'll pull it up after. Worst take I seen on the internet about this. Don't be mad at Jewish people for having the self-respect your community doesn't.
What?
Miss Lady, let me tell you something, girl. I don't know what you got going over there with your self-hating black complex thing over there. But what you are seeing here being displayed has nothing to do with a level of self-respect. It comes from political power and capital. That is how you move and shake things in this country.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the faith. It has nothing to do with the skin color, the race, or the creed. It has only one color that matters, and it's green. And there are enough people within that community with a vested interest in protecting their public image that they are able to fend off anti-Semitism. They are able to fend off criticisms, legitimate criticisms of their government, of the Israeli government.
You know, what you just mentioned sounds an awful lot like the LGBT and their fights against homophobia, or, you know, countless other groups that happen to have some facet of white supremacy within them. But, you know.
When you have enough white guys with money in your group, you're going to get your voice heard. It's all we see here. Got enough dudes with money, it is what it is. We can't get it to work for us because we have too many people interested in protecting their own interest and marching to the beat of the drum, as opposed to collapsing and protecting the same way. For me, though, the last people, now that we've gotten through most of the people involved here, the entities involved, the Brooklyn Nets. How you can look at the Brooklyn Nets as anything but just wave riding, like they don't even let the people who are inside of the room dictate what happens in their franchise. They let all of the outside noise determine how they move over there.
Oh, for sure.
It's a joke over there. In the midst of all of this Kyrie Irving stuff, we've almost lost the fact that you are going to hire Ime Udoka.
Yeah.
Someone else's problem child.
Yep.
You are going to make Kyrie Irving pay $500,000 to this cause because he tweeted something, as you are hiring a coach who is currently suspended from his team. It is just the loosey-goosey nature, hey, tell us what you want us to do, public nature of how the Nets are ran. It is an absolute joke. This is from Ambassador Gilad Erdan. The Nets are showing no tolerance for hate. Okay. We can't pick and choose when we want to stand up against injustice. I agree. Tell that to your NBA friends. Kyrie hopped on a trend of being anti-Semitic and was put in his place quickly. I hope he opens his eyes beyond the conspiracy theories he spread, blah, 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 blah. The point I want y'all to hear is, and was put in his place quickly. That's what they think about you. That's how they think that they are going to control you regardless of the criticism. Whether or not it's warranted, whether or not it's a conspiracy theory, or it's a completely wholehearted, accurate critique of a people or a government for that matter. Number one, it cannot be anti-Semitism to criticize. Number two, you not putting anybody in their place over here, bruh. That shows me an attitude
that echoes white supremacy.
You are not going to get me to sign up and to punish a black man and drag him through the media, drag him and create this narrative about him because you say so. Because you say that's what's supposed to happen. He apologized. He paid his money. He's taking those classes that they dictated him take. That's enough. That's enough because that's 1,000 times more than we ever get for any time somebody opens up their mouth about us. So put him in his place. Yeah, you're going to have to do that by yourself, player, if you can. You're not going to get an assistance from me. Because that shit is anti-black.
Yeah.
And assisting in it is anti-black. I don't give a fuck who it is that's doing it, and I don't care how much you like them, how many rings, how many Grammys, how many whatevers they got that make you want to sit up there and just pray to them and have them tell you how to live your life. I never will. Ever. That shit is anti-black. I'm not doing it.
My last thing that I was going to bring forward, I know I kind of said we would have a sort of conversation about this. So first of all, in the last video that we had somewhat like this, the Kanye West video, I thought his remarks were anti-Semitic in at least the level of going against a certain group of people.
Say it again.
The Kanye West video.
Well, but see, I don't even want to argue on his behalf, bro, because what did I say at the beginning of this video? Kyrie has never come out his mouth and been overtly anti-black. He has never put himself against the people, against the culture. He's never made himself be squarely on the other side of a black issue. Kanye West perpetuates that in the latter part of his career. So if that's where you want to be, go over there and let them deal with you where you want to be clearly, or where you want to make money, or where you want to drive controversy. For whatever reason he says the things that he says, he can go on back over there and deal with it on his own.
Well, I guess my only thing was that seems very anti-Semitic and going against the powers that be.
Well, it also rarely does it come with any backup. Like now the text message that he sent to us, that's crazy. I don't know what the hell that or who that is. Did you see that? It was like a text that he was having a conversation with somebody. It was like, I'll put you back in the hospital, or it was
like his handler or I guess personal trainer.
Yeah,
or something.
I don't know what's going on with that, but it sounds like you need to get some people that you actually trust around you, which is something that I've been saying for years. But that to me is not proof that Diddy is a puppet with a Jewish man's hand up his butt. That is not proof. And you cannot just come out and say, first of all, it's defamatory. The reason why Kyrie has such a strong case is because he didn't defame a single person. He didn't call for hatred, or violence against anyone. LeBron. He didn't call for hatred or violence against anyone. He didn't say anything.
Right.
What if his very next tweet was like, "Oh, this is disgusting," and blah 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 blah. Skip. He didn't defame anyone. He didn't call for violence. He didn't call for the dehumanization of anyone. And once again, that is well above the bar that they set for their white counterparts within the NBA. So I'm trying to figure out here, because I see the difference between Kanye and Kyrie. Number one, Kanye doesn't have the black support. He doesn't have the black grassroots support that Kyrie Irving does because of the nonsense that he does. Number two, what Kanye West is doing or saying is accusatory. He's pointing someone out. He's accusing something.
Right.
The Kyrie Irving post is so vague. It's just a post. You can say that he supports it by posting it, but he is not calling for violence against Jewish people. He is not calling for an overthrowing of Jewish people.
He's not being antagonistic necessarily. But that's my point. Like
it's just a bad take. How much do you punish somebody for a shitty take?
And so I guess my point in trying to separate the two situations is that I don't know that Kyrie is anti-Semitic. He even goes and said in the second press conference, I can't be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. And so the reason I bring that up is because I don't know that this isn't some part of Kyrie's, at some level, religious beliefs.
But see, he's not the first person that I've heard say that or talk about that either. I am not going to summarily disavow someone's religious or historical beliefs because you tell me to.
Well, that's my point.
Because you know what I mean?
Like we don't go after anybody else's religions. And so if these are his actual religious beliefs, attacking him for those at some level seems
I just refuse
hypocritical
to accept the fact that you are a black Jew or that you are a descendant of a black Jew raises to the level that you need to be trying to erase people from the zeitgeist, like trying to take away all of their economic connections and then publicly disavowing them. That is not something I will ever accept. The denying of the Holocaust, that's not something I will accept either. But you should have the same level of vitriol towards both of those summations. It should anger you just as much that somebody is saying that there couldn't have possibly been black people in Israel. It should anger you that much as saying that the Holocaust didn't happen. Know that a melanated woman, was the first person ever to be found. The oldest human being ever to be discovered was a black woman. Know that. So if they tell you that we migrated to parts of South America and North America through these land bridges that disappeared overnight, not overnight, through millions of years of evolution, but that's not racist. That's not anti-Semitic. That is science.
So
at least hear what they have to say before you come out here talking out your neck, protecting somebody else's narrative.
Yeah. In doing my research for this situation, I wanted to kind of get the idea of what it is that Hebrew Israelites believe so that I can maybe paint this as, like I said, Kyrie espousing some of his religious beliefs. And in that case, like I said, this is somewhat hypocritical because we're attacking Kyrie for attacking religious beliefs at some level. But if these are his religious beliefs, then you are also attacking him for the same thing.
I am just not taking a tweet as an official endorsement. We don't even know how much of it he actually saw or if he saw it at all before he posted it. Like, yes, it was a bad decision to do that for a multitude of reasons that we've already discussed.
Mm-hmm.
But that in itself does not make him a bigot.
Mm-hmm.
And they have painted him that as that. And they've watched all of his contemporaries, all of his so-called friends in the league and former players dogpile on top of him and assist in that narrative.
Well, even if this isn't truly his religious beliefs as of yet, he is at least curious and trying to figure out his religious beliefs. And in that case, how?
Thank you.
How can you demonize him for that?
Most of y'all that are criticizing still have dog shit takes to this day. Like, you still have uninformed ideas in your head to this day. You won't even admit when you're wrong about things. You don't have enough. You're not self-critical enough to judge yourself. How could you possibly be self-critical enough to judge somebody else? I will give you the litany of dumb shit that I have said when I was uninformed, because I know where I'm at now. And that doesn't represent me now. It doesn't represent how I feel or what I know. You all are too afraid to educate yourselves. It's much easier to just go along with what celebrities tell you. That's why you mad at Killer Mike now. Well, if you wasn't chasing on his butt to begin with, it wouldn't make you mad to see that he switched sides. And even more than that, if Stacey Abrams hasn't risen to the level to do anything for black people in Atlanta, then you might as well stick with the people who's in power. And I'm sorry, Stacey, but voter registration alone ain't gonna get it. It's a lot of other stuff going on in this country as opposed to black people voting. Stop following these people. Stop letting them tell you what's right and what's wrong. You went to school. You know how to read. You tell your kids what's right and what's wrong. Decide for yourself. Stop listening to these people, man, because the only thing they do is make you look dumb while you out here promoting what they say, not knowing what they do. Now you supporting a hypocrite, which makes you a hypocrite. Give us your thoughts on the Kyrie Irving situation and everything that's going on in the NBA right now. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and make sure you come back next week. More content. And make sure you check out our discussion on Kanye West. I think is probably the most apt thing to head to after listening to what we had to say here. And make sure you subscribe. Anytime we hear anything going against black people, any sports news we get, we'll talk about it.